Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with Miss Keisha kind of wanting to assert and have the Mr. CJ understand that she's not a second-class citizen, and what closes with Miss Keisha just happy to be a citizen, first, second, third, any class citizen. She just want to be back in the big house. If you guess WAGS Atlanta on E Season 1, Episode 3, Bells in the Bayou, you're correct. Thank you so much for get comfortable, girl, clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Let us proceed. So we got CJ and Keisha, and CJ has agreed to therapy. Keisha wants him to know that as a woman, she is not a second-class citizen. Well, stop acting like it, girlfriend. Then we got Kaylin in a meeting with a hosting coach. You know, she wants to be a television host type personality, and then, like whatever. And then why did she put everything like hosting on hold for JJ in baseball? I didn't understand that. She's like, I started a hosting career, but then I had to put everything on hold for JJ in baseball. I'm like, he's playing baseball. Why does she have to? I don't understand. They do some exercises, some voice, diction type exercises, and then they film a little bit. Then we see Nisha and Andre, and she needs $10,000. She needs 10,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 6 baths. They're meeting with the realtor. They're looking for a new space. So she has some, high standards. And Andre is like, Shay spends the most money on clothes and shoes and hair and looking glamorous. But that's what I like. And that's what she does. So they understand each other. They all rocking with it. It's good. He like it. She love it. They good. The children need more. He says, you take care of the kid. He says you take care of the kids. That's part of the agreement. And she's like, yeah, that's what I signed up for. But I got this business. I got this. I got that. And I also signed up to be a full human being. And I want to bring my mom in from Florida, or we could split more of the work with the kids and get a nanny. Like, you should help out with the children too. I shouldn't have to do everything with the children, because you work, I work, and I have to do everything with the children. And then we see CJ and Keisha at therapy. They're outside coming into the lobby. He says something smart to her. She's like, should we sit here? And he's like, where else are we going to sit? Girl, I don't understand. I mean, everything don't translate to film, and maybe he acting slick for the TV or whatever, but it's not cute to me. But if you like it, I love it, I guess. If you love it, I like it. They have a black woman therapist. Keisha feels that this is a make it or break it session. What do you each individually need to work on, the therapist asks. And Keisha's like, well, how I speak and react and how I act when I'm upset. And CJ is like not shutting down when Keisha flips out, basically. And the therapist is like, well, what do you want for your relationship? And Keisha's like, we have to respect each other. And CJ is like, do you respect me? And Keisha is like, well, he's upset about the security cameras, which were really not security cameras but spy cameras. And the therapist is asked what led to those cameras, and Keisha is like, I don't want to go through what I went through before, and so that's why I put the cameras in, so that for me to know if I should stay in this relationship or move on with life. And you know what you need to do, girl. When you get to a point where you're putting cameras in to try to figure stuff out, you already know you just don't want to do it. But you got to put your big girl panties on and do what you need to do. CJ is like, she violated my privacy, and the therapist is like, when the relationship worked, what made it work? And CJ doesn't really have an answer, and Keisha is shaking her head. And I thought she said it never worked, but I don't know. Is that what she said? And then the therapist is like, well, you lost your way. You lost your way. What is a positive suggestion? And they talk about when they were each other's best friends. And the therapist is like, I want you two to start practicing using words like our, we, and us. Remove the I's. And it's kind of like, okay, I thought that was kind of interesting. let me put some heat on my feet because they getting cold. I thought that was kind of interesting, and you know, I guess, hey, if it worked for, hey. Then we see Kaylin and JJ, and Kaylin wants to do a girls trip to NOLA, and she's never been, and she tells him about her hosting class, and he's supportive of the girls trip, and JJ is like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing winter ball, and that's like not part of the major leagues, we find out, but something else where he can still stay active and still stay visible, but it's not part of what he's been banned from for the moment. It's not affiliated. And then Kaylin is like, well, I'm going to put everything on hold, you know, to support you because, you know, this marriage is a priority. So yeah, I don't understand what she's putting on hold. But anyway, he's like, oh no, I want you to go on the trip. And then we see Niche and Andre, and she's cooking. We got the kids in the kitchen. Her mom is on the way. Her mom is a WAG, we find out, from baseball. Her mother's husband was a baseball player, and her mother actually looks darker than Niche's father, which is surprising because Niche looks lighter, but you know, there's no accounting for genetics. But I was happy to see what appeared to be a relatively dark-skinned woman with a dark-skinned man. Yay! And then Andre is like, you know, she wants you to stay here forever. That's what Andre is saying to the mama. And then mama of Niche is like, well, why can't y'all get a nanny? I'm not here to stay here. My mom did come up to be with the kids though. And then the mom is, she's like, Niche's mother is like working on her PhD. She's a tenured teacher. And she says, if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail, blah, 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 blah. She busy living her life. She don't want to be up there watching them kids. She's busy living her life. Then we see Kayla shopping for the NOLA trip, and she wants to be prepared. And she's joined by Hope and Sincerely, and they're going for a swamp chic aesthetic. And I think actually they hit it when they go on their little thing. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And she tells the girls that that JJ, her husband, is going to winter ball, and they are glad that he's still working and that his spirits are high, and they're supportive of everything. And then we're in New Orleans with Kaylin and Brandy and Rhodes, who's the wrestler, and Spy Keisha. I don't know, Keisha. And then there's the Lucifer Suite, and I'm like, is this the same hotel that the Medicine Wife stayed at in New Orleans? It is, isn't it? This is like some reality TV special they got going at this hotel. And then they go to a voodoo shop as well, like the Medicine Wives, but it's a black woman that's running this shop, and Brandy seems to be the coordinator of this part of the trip. I didn't really understand. I'm not really clear who Brandy is, but they're looking around the shop, and they're like, oh my gosh, this and that, and you know, but they seem more cooled out than the woman in Married to Medicine, Dr. Heavenly. And you know, they're looking around and they're like, ooh, this is different, but they don't seem like, you know, oh my gosh, my mortal soul is in danger of being overtaken by the devil. And then we see that the woman is gonna get to reading, and she says something about Hope has changes coming, and Keisha, I go forward. Keisha wants to know, should I go forward with my boyfriend? She's at a crossroads. And the reader is like, when women think that they can change a man, and we weaken our vibration, you weaken your vibration by trying to badger someone to make a decision. You're wasting your time with all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, woo, girl, exactly. Girl, make yourself comfortable, Miss Belarusky. And then we see the group goes on a swamp tour. It's the same Married to Medicine Wife. And they look very cute in their little khaki overalls. And they feed the wild boars and hogs. And they see gators and raccoons. And something about Brandy, I got confused. Brandy is a black woman, but but anyway. And then we see Andre and Niche, and they're out eating, and he's going to be away more because of he's becoming a sports agent, and she's trying to get him to get her a nanny, and she like, look, I made the decision, we getting a nanny. And then we see a bunch of men gathering together. It's Andre, Deontay Caldwell, Cody Rhodes, Harry Davis, CJ Moses. So it's the husbands or boyfriends of the WAGs, some of them. And then we see CJ telling the men about Keisha's camera and his deep pain of being taped and everything, or potentially taped. And then the guys are telling CJ they're gonna get back together. You and Keisha are gonna get back together. And the group of men is like all dark men. They're basically all relatively dark, and then there's one white man in the group. I think the wrestler man is white or appears white, and I think he's married to a black woman. And then we switch over to the group of all the women, and they're basically all light skinned with a white woman in the mix. So I just noticed that. And they're in NOLA, and they're in the Lucifer suite, and they're trying to play with the stripper pole. That whole scene was like really flat to me. And then poor Keisha, she got get these women together because they joking and implying that she trapped her man, and she just really upset just by the whole, she like, it's not a joke, it's not funny, and I like, you kind of get the impression that I guess the women feel like that's what she did. And it's like, being a baby mama, that's like cha-ching. She moved up on the hierarchy. She has a child with a man, so as long as he has money, she'll be getting money from him. And so some people look at it like that's what people are trying to do. Just like Evelyn Lozada, she was with that guy, the baseball player. She had a baby with him, so she'll be getting money from him for 18 years as long as he has money. And then she got a ring from him, the engagement ring. Now they didn't get married, I don't believe, but that's probably an asset too. A $5,000 ring, a $40,000 ring, that's something she can sell. It's something, it's like it's cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching every step along. And then when you get married, that's another step, or if you're able to get married, but anyway. And then we see Nisha and Andre, and he's like, what's for dinner? And Nisha is like, I'm serving leftovers, blah, 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 blah. Then the doorbell rings, and Dre is like, well, who is that? And Nisha and Andre, Dre is like, who is that? And Shay is like, look, I told you I hired a nanny, and she's here, and you're gonna love her. And then Dre talks to nanny, Hattie is her name, and she's been a nanny for 30 years, and she has 5 grandchildren of her own, and he likes her. And Shay is like, saying in her interview, he'll push back, but he's going to buy in. And then Nanny Hattie takes the children upstairs. And then Andre gets kind of excited because he like, wait a second. His wife point out, the children are upstairs. We sitting down here chilling, drinking wine, and we can relax. And he's like, okay, so this is good. My wife is relaxed. There'll be more fun for me. And, and we'll be able to have more sex. I hate to say it, but I think my wife was right. And so it was like a fake drama. Are they gonna get a nanny or not? And then we see Brandy and Keisha, and they're getting away from the situation with Sincerely. So I guess Sincerely was the one who said something or implied or joked about Keisha having trapped CJ. And so Keisha is telling Brandy that they are not living together, that Keisha and CJ are not living together in the big house, and that Keisha's and the baby have been in the townhouse. And Keisha is just talking and talking and talking, and the way it's edited, it's like the other woman is listening, but it's like Keisha is like talking like she trying to convince the other woman, convince herself, convince us that the image that she wants us to have of their relationship is the image of their relationship. So I don't know. Did you convince yourself, Miss Keisha? Are you feeling better? Because it seemed almost like the way it was edited, like at least like it wasn't a conversation. It was you trying to convince somebody or something. And I don't know Keisha, but I mean, I don't like to see. I never like to see a woman being a desperado. Like, she's as attractive as the next person. She's probably very desirable to a lot of people. She's probably smart. And, I feel like whoever you are, you never have to be a desperado. So I can't stand to see a woman, being a desperado. And I feel like she being a desperado. So I'm not like, it make me feel bad for her. And then we see Keisha showing back up at CJ's big house, and CJ gives her a big hug. Because remember when he found the cameras, he was like, you know, you got to go. And we didn't know where she was going. We were happy that she went to the townhouse instead of just on the street or to the homeless shelter. But, you know, she's at the big house. She's getting a big hug. And she's going in nervous, hoping for a good outcome, she says. And he apologizes. He says that he knows he's making her feel insecure. And he says that he's going to do better. And Keisha is all smiles. And she's like, you know, I needed to hear that. And I'm happy. And CJ is like, will you move back in? And Keisha is like, you know, great. I love you. And CJ is like, you are the wind beneath my wings. And I'm like, girl, now. She's just glad to be back in the big house, you know, I think. But I feel like what she needed to do was to put her big girl panties on. We've been talking about this, and move on and pursue what she wants. When he's like, well, will you move back in? Be like, you know, she don't need to move back in, because what's happened is he's basically the only thing he's promised her is that he's going to try to do better. And she wants to be married. So it seems like, you know, you have to, like, if he's not going to marry you, if you're not going to be married to him, it's time to move on. You've been with him for 12 years, 5 years. You've been with him long enough for him to know whether he want to be married to you or not. He ready to be married, whatever the thing is, she need to move on. That's how I feel. But she just happy that her ass ain't thrown out on the street, I guess. So she just like willing to take whatever she can get. So if the best she can get is a promise to do better and an apology on TV, then she happy to get it, I guess. But girl, Keisha girl, I don't know you, but you know, I'm praying for you. And maybe that's just my way of seeing things, but I feel like you don't have to get married, but if you want to get married, then you should pursue that. If you don't want to be married and you're happy being a baby mama, that's good. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But I get the impression that you're not really happy and you're trying to pressure somebody and force somebody into doing something that they don't want to do. So you move on and you do you. And if he catch up, cool. If not, you're going to catch the next. You got all kinds of choices and options and opportunities out here, Miss Kiki. So go on, you know, girl, I'm praying for you. But that's what I got. If you like what I do over here, please consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. Like, comment. All of that other good stuff. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Today is the best day ever. So that's all you got to do. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. You see the video vixen showing her tail. Be fabulous you. Peace.